Okay. So I would like to call the Committee of the Whole workshop meeting of April 3rd, 2019 to order. I'd like to begin by reading a safety notice. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate council chambers to the nearest exit through the chamber doors and obey all instructions given by the clerk. Ms. Kirkelos, would you raise your hand so everyone knows you are the leader? If assistance is required, please see the clerk. Once you have evacuated the building, please gather in the front parking lot outside of the town hall. Also, Town of Lincoln Committee and Council meetings are posted on our YouTube channel. Please remember to silence all your cellular devices. Roll call. We've got regrets from Councillor Reimer and Councillor Njima for this workshop. Are there any declarations of interest? I see none. There are no statutory public meetings on the agenda. There are no delegations on the agenda. There isn't a consent agenda, so we're going to get right into the regular agenda. We are now considering item 7.1. Claire Basinski and Brett Sears from WSP will provide a presentation regarding the Transportation Master Plan. The purpose of today's workshop will be to understand what has been completed to date regarding the Town of Lincoln's Transportation Master Plan, engaging with Council on the proposed recommendations, and considerations to move forward. I will ask Mr. Graham to come forward and provide a brief introduction for today's purpose of the presentation, and following that, an overview of today's workshop to be presented by Ms. Basinski and Mr. Sears.
Thank you through you, Mr. Chairman. So we're really excited to be here tonight. This is the second phase of our consultation process for our Transportation Master Plan. A lot of work has been done since the last time we were back in front of Council last year. So tonight we want to share a lot of that information and get Council's input. So to kind of what to expect for this meeting, we want to reinforce that there'll be no decision-making required tonight. Rather, we're simply looking for feedback from Council on the information that we're going to be providing here this evening. So as we get started, the session's going to include a brief presentation to kind of give a bit of an overview background of the Transportation Master Plan. We have some new councillors around the table, so I think that'll be very helpful to kind of talk about some of the background and where we've been to date. What is a Transportation Master Plan and how a municipality uses a Transportation Master Plan. And then we want to share some information, and we have some stations set up around the room here to kind of give Council a little more interactive and see some more detail on the boards as it relates to the information that we want to talk about tonight. These boards here, it's just important to note, these are the same boards that we used at our recent public consultation sessions that were held on March 17th and the 23rd. Our consultants here tonight from WSP, they're going to be helping out at the workstations as we walk around and take a look at some of this information after the presentation is completed. Once we go through that and complete that, we're going to come back, sit around the horseshoe here, and there'll be an opportunity to provide any feedback or questions that committee would like to do. So on that, I'll turn it over to WSP.
Thank you, Dave, and good afternoon, Chair and members of Council. My name is Brett Sears. I'm the Consultant Project Manager working with the town staff on this Transportation Master Plan. With me tonight are my colleagues Claire Basinski, who's our consultation lead, and over on my right side, Jillian Brito, who's our project coordinator. I'm going to go ahead and start, lay a groundwork for tonight, give a little bit of background, tell you what we've heard so far through our second round of consultation. After that brief presentation, I'll ask Claire to come up to describe how we're going to handle the workshop. We're looking to have some fun, or to have a good time. We've done a lot of work. We've reached out to a number of different people. We'll share that with you, and we really want to know your feedback on where we're going. We're going to show a number of different draft preliminary recommendations. They're based on our analysis. They're based on incorporating what we've heard to date, and we'd like to know if you think we're on the right track. I'm going to start off with what is a transportation master plan. That would be important perhaps for new counselors, or just to remind people, because sometimes it's kind of like everything but the kitchen sink. So we want to build that expectation of what it is and what it is not. The objectives for this specific transportation master plan, how we're developing it, the themes, how we've been consulting, and then we're going to go into what we've heard, and there's a number of slides on that. What it is and what it is not. It's a long-term vision. We're looking to the year 2031, 2041, beyond. It's not all going to be implemented next year. We're trying to have a phased approach, so this is not an authorization to construct. Sometimes people will see a line on the map. They'll either be happy or sad about that, depending on their point of view, but this is not the authorization to construct, but we have to have a plan to know what to construct in the future. We are looking at all modes of transportation, and we'll be covering all modes of transportation tonight at the different stations that we have set up. This is designed to be a living document. It's not going to be etched in stone, but we are going to have a prioritization so that the town would know, in our technical professional opinion, where to go first and how to address the different modes of transportation. And we don't want to, even though we're talking transportation, we're not here to reinvent the wheel. We want to go ahead and build upon the good work that the town has already done and to be able to leverage that. So sometimes in our consultation, someone will come with an item that's very specific to the street that they live on. We're happy to take that comment, but we're really looking town-wide, and we're typically not trying to address the pothole on someone's street or some very localized issue. This is the plan that sets the stage for the future transportation network. And we're doing this because we want to be proactive. I got into planning because I thought it was a way to positively impact a large number of people. So we're looking to the future. We're looking at all modes to provide ways for people to get around. When I was at the Fleming Center the other day on the 23rd, I would ask the students, how do you get around? How are you getting to school? And most of them actually were saying they take the bus. But we want to provide options to enhance the quality of life. As we drove around just before the meeting today, my colleague remarked, well, this looks like a nice place to live. We want to support that and also accommodate future generations. That's a big part of this, as we've been working with the region to understand what the forecast growth is in population and employment. So we want to set the town up for success from a transportation perspective. And that kind of goes into these objectives, which I think I've kind of started to talk about in terms of a balanced multimodal transportation system. Not everybody drives. Sometimes people, they have that thought that everyone drives, but I can name a lot of people who don't. And they could be old, they could be young, they could be whatever. For myself, I bike to work. Someone even told me it's a golden handcuff, because if you bike to work, you're going to be like, hallelujah, it's a fantastic way of life, and you don't want to give it up. So I prefer to bike to work than to drive. So we want to provide a balanced multimodal transportation system for all people of all ages. In the past, maybe there was focus on one mode of transportation. We're trying to look at all. And that kind of comes into this terminology of complete streets. All modes, all ages. A number of objectives that we're meeting through these different items that we're talking about tonight. The process, we've been at it for a little bit of time. We work for a number of different municipal clients, and we did see a lull last fall when there was the election. We weren't having public meetings. So now we have our new council, and we're committed to finishing this project. Started in 2017, had a fantastic first round of consultation. We've done a lot of data collection, identified the different challenges, and now we're at the point where we've come up with some solutions. And we want to get your feedback, like I said earlier, on these preliminary recommendations so that we can move forward in confidence and develop that master plan document, which we'll provide to the town staff for review, incorporate comments, and eventually come back to you for your final input. So for the engagement, we've had 2 phases. So we try to reach out in a number of different ways, and that can be online and in person. Try to make it convenient for people, such as just recently having an event at the Fleming Center where it was a free skate. We had pizza, we had hot chocolate, right at the door where they're coming in. Most people want to just go straight in to skate, but on the way back, oh, now they're tired. Oh, you have pizza, I can smell it, there's hot chocolate. Hey, you have some activities to do. We had a pretty good time, Walter. So to end, I mean, I have to commend Claire for coming up with some of these ideas and working with Carrie on this. We also were able to reach out to March break groups. We got kids. When we were at the Fleming Center, we had a number of high school students. I remember when I was in high school, free food, oh, I'm there, right? Pizza, can I have a whole box? Well, you know, thank you. But we're trying to plan for them as well. And so we reached out through March break camps. We have an online tool. We had two different venues, one in Jordan, one in Beamsville, and now we're here tonight for a council workshop. We still will want to reach out to the stakeholders. In the first round, we went ahead and met with Niagara Region, Grimsby, St. Catharines, your neighboring municipalities, Ministry of Transportation, because all of these people have a role. From the public's perspective, they just drive on the road, or they walk, or they bike on the road. They don't care if it's a town road, or a regional road, or an MTO road. They just want to get where they want to go. So we need to coordinate with those people to make sure that we have a system that works. March break camp. So we design different activities based on the people who are giving us feedback. I tried to get my 12-year-old to participate. She just wanted the pizza. That's kids, right? But we reached out on March break camps and got feedback that way. Things that they can understand. Is this a good thing? Like, you know, a smiley face and a sad face. What are some of the what are the words that you think about when you're trying to get around? Is it hard? Is it fun? Are you taking a car? I know for my kids, 12 and 11, they love to take another mode just because it's something different, right? Online activity in terms of what should we be doing in the future? So this is your whole town, but you can zoom in on any aspect and look at the different improvements that we're suggesting from an active transportation perspective or a road perspective, and you can give us comments. You can do this online, you could do it in person. So we're trying to take the materials that we showed the public face-to-face, we also have those all replicated online. So if you're not there that night, that day, actually both of them were in the afternoon, there are still other opportunities for you to provide input, and you're not getting like something different. We're trying to collate all the responses together. And so we did this also at the open house where people could write directly on the map regarding their different concerns and commenting on the solutions that we're providing. And we'll be able to do that tonight. And then we also asked, we had some strategies, ways we want to, ideas, not everything is a bricks and mortar project, a new active transportation facility, a new bus, a new road. So some of these are some policies, and this one is complete streets in terms of the road network that's designed for all modes of transportation and all transportation users. So we asked people to rank the different recommendations. The thing I'll point out here is the number one, measure outcomes. Like people want to see results, right? That's one thing you often hear when you go to the public. Enough of the study, show me the solution. So that's kind of coming through here. Transportation demand management. This is trying to get people to think outside of the single occupant car. And so you see the number one that's come up so far is explore share programs, be that car share, bike share, some kind of a ride share. Car share could be you're renting a car that multiple people use. Ride share, maybe it's a carpooling program, and bike share, using a bike from different locations and returning it to multiple different locations. City of Hamilton has a program that is seen as a great success on that. Traffic calming. Walter is going to be at that station tonight. I'll let him handle that. No, but we know that has been a big item. And so the number one thing that came up so far is set up a process, and I'm going to touch on that in a little bit here. For transit, refine U-Link routes, so you have your permanent system now. So some of the comments were, I was talking to one gentleman from Vineland, and he was saying, well, if you just rerouted it down this street, I think you'd get a lot more ridership, so we're trying to circle that and work with your transit coordinator to give that feedback so that can be considered in terms of keeping your existing route or any future improvements or changes to the system. Truck movements. Walter stuck me with that one tonight, so I'll be talking to you about that at one of our activity stations. The bypass came up, and we have an interim and an ultimate solution for that, so I'm happy to share more about that when we break into the activity groups. Here's one where we gave people tickets like you'd get at an amusement park or just for a raffle or something, gave them 10 tickets and said, how would you want to use these tickets in terms of your priorities for improving the transportation system in Lincoln? So at the open houses, road improvements and walking improvements, those got the most tickets from the various people who came and participated. Online so far, actually, the goods movement, which is referring to trucking, that has come out number one, and traffic calming has come two, with road improvements and walking improvements coming after those. That's the online input to date. So there's a number of themes. You have this whole package. You can look at the different themes, but I would say generally supportive, but also wanting to see the implementation. I'm going to keep going, though, because the themes are all going to be kind of covered, not kind of, they will be covered tonight in these different activity stations. The recommendations are designed to address these themes. And so I'm almost done, but I want to use this point to kind of set the stage for these different activity stations in terms of the active transportation. How do you establish a connected network and supportive culture building on what is already there, right? So we need to make sure, what I always say is no missing links. No missing links. Like I said, I bike to work. It's always amazing when you're biking in some bike facility and it magically disappears, but you're not at your destination. So on our firm, we certainly pride ourselves in no missing links. Now, there could be a missing link, but we have a plan to address that in terms of a phased approach to creating this comprehensive cycling network. Transit, now that you have the transit pilot has been made permanent, what are the next steps? And so we've already been speaking with your transit coordinator on what those next steps will be, and Jillian will be walking through that with you tonight. Traffic calming. How does the town respond to a myriad of requests for traffic calming? Data-driven. That's what we're saying. We want a transparent process that is data-driven so that you, the council, can rest assured that there is a set process that has some technical analysis that will justify whatever an appropriate solution is. We have a whole flow chart on how we think we can accomplish that. And Walter put his hand up for that one tonight. Complete streets. This goes back once again to the concept that it should be designed for all modes of transportation and all transportation users. Now, I mentioned to my wife, we have this great concept called complete streets. It's new. It means the transportation network should be designed for everyone and for all modes. And she said, Brett, do you mean to tell me you guys haven't been doing that? What are you guys doing? But for some way, I would say after World War II in North America, the pendulum swang from multimodal to more singular modal of everyone wanting to drive. And so now we're trying to swing the pendulum to have a little bit more balance so that there are viable options. And that's what we're trying to do through Complete Streets. Trucking. How do we address ongoing concerns with truck traffic, particularly in downtown Beamsville, the whole Mountain to Ontario connection? So we have an interim solution and an ultimate solution that I'll be talking about at the trucking and road station. And that goes along with the roads. How do we plan the road network to address existing concerns and future growth? So we have taken town roads, regional roads, QEW, looked at the different plans that are, like the region just came up with their Transportation Master Plan 2017, put those on the map, put what we're recommending for town facilities, put what MTO is planning for QEW, all on the map, so we kind of have an integrated approach to improving the road network. Whew. Did I keep to my 15 minutes? I think at this point, it's okay with the town staff. I'll invite Claire to come up and talk about how we're going to run our workshop, and we really hope that you'll engage with us tonight to talk about these important issues and to give us some feedback on where we're going. So we're going to do that workshop, and then eventually we'll be coming back to you after we develop an implementation strategy with our phasing. Like I said, we want to give you some direction in terms of what to do first, knowing you can't do it all at one time. And then we'll have a TMP report that will come back to council at an appropriate time. With that, though, I'm going to turn it over to Claire to discuss how we're going to handle the workshop. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Brett. I think you've covered a lot of the details of the workshop, so I'll probably just get into a bit of the logistics because you're probably trying to figure out exactly how we're going to break out and how we're going to do this. I have a stopwatch somewhat on my watch, so I'm going to be keeping us to time. We're going to break into groups of 4, so by ward. And then, Madam Mayor, if you'd like to just pick wherever you'd like to be in terms of topic, move around as you'd like, you're welcome to do so. Pardon me? Just the truck one? Okay. I promise I will be a good facilitator and make you move, but not be harsh. So you can't stay hiding over there too long. But we're going to use about 10, 15-minute increments at each station. We'll have a staff member as well as a member of our team there to help document your comments. As Brett mentioned, we're talking priorities, timeline, and implementation considerations. So you'll either have a map or a board that lays out the recommendations that we've been speaking to, and our team members will help you work through those to document your comments. So, you know, short, medium, and long term, there's not a timeline associated with those per se, but in terms of your opinions on when you think we should consider implementing them, or if you think it's an absolutely horrific idea, we are also open to listening to that as well. So we'll work with you through those groups, document your comments, aggregate your comments, and then come back and have some closing remarks. I wasn't part of the first workshop because I was on maternity leave, but I'm very happy to be back and glad, somewhat personally, that this project isn't fully wrapped up so I can see the end result of it. So thank you, Walter, for doing that. That's wonderful. And if there's any questions about the workshop, I'll just take them, but we may just want to also get started to maximize our time. So by ward, by station, and then we'll move every about 10, 15 minutes. How about 1 goes to calming? I'm just choosing. I'm not being picky, I promise. 1 to calming, 2 to trucking, 3 to AT and complete streets, 4 to transit and TDM. Good start? Oh no, I've probably played favorites now. Always do. So we'll start there, everybody to their stations, and we'll call it out when we're going to move them next.
Okay. That was an excellent, informative presentation. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Jillian, very much. Now, are there any comments from committee? Now, I would say the questions were asked during the workshop sessions, so are there any comments? And then we're going to go over to Mr. Graham to summarize for the public at home. Any comments from committee? Okay. Fantastic. Mr. Graham.
Sorry. Again, I just want to thank council for participating in this exercise today. I thought it was a great session, a lot of good feedback we've heard. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back, we're going to take the comments from the consultation that we recently did with the public, council's comments. We have to do some further follow-up with our stakeholders, get some more comments from them as well. We're going to go back and sort of start refining what you've seen here tonight, and plan to bring a final report to council for consideration in early fall. So that's kind of what to expect next with all this. So.
Okay. So we have a motion, and I need a mover for the motion. So we have a motion moved by Councillor Russell to receive and file the presentation from Claire Bazinski, Brett Sears, and Jillian Brintal from WSP regarding the Transportation Master Plan for the town of Lincoln. All those in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. There are no confidential items this evening. We've had our staff remarks from Mr. Graham. We've had our committee remarks. So there being no further business, I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.